silence is something that most people don't experience hardly ever.
The willing, right, and
Willingness
that's
to go
right,
along.
and I grew from it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, I know how to do that now.
I had a very dysfunctional childhood, so I function within that dysfunction.
If they find a teacher and study,
Yeah.
and learn how to change your consciousness.
Hi, welcome back to Coffee with Psychics. I'm Yola.
I'm
We have
Maureen.
Maureen, and we have Ken, and we have Katie in the booth here.
Hi.
Hi. So, what are we drinking today? Katie, we're going to start with you because that's really interesting. This
What is
green
that?
stuff. Yeah.
This is my daily morning smoothie.
What's in it?
Today it has pineapple and banana. The green, what makes it green is I do spirulina and barley grass juice powder.
That's a quart. How do you hold a quart of anything?
I know, I do have small hands. I guess I have good grip strength.
No,
I think meant
get your
internally.
body. Yeah.
Oh.
Doesn't your stomach go, I'm not holding this
God,
either? Yeah.
I drink a lot of liquids. Like first thing when I wake up in the morning, I drink a quart of lemon water, and then I
Wow.
drink a
Wow.
quart of celery juice, and then I
Wow.
drink this.
That's why your
Gee.
complexion looks
I'm a
like
big
that.
liquid
Yeah.
person.
Maybe
Yeah.
I should
Life,
start doing
isn't,
that.
life is not fair.
Lemon water and celery juice sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of it gives you like a detox effect, so you get cold, but it feels really good.
Well,
It starts your
is
day out
an
right.
Interesting color green. That's all I got.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
yeah.
it kind of
good.
tastes like pond scum, honestly. Like,
Oh, great.
have you guys ever smelled spirulina? It smells like
Yeah,
pond
it is
scum.
pond
It is
scum.
pond scum.
Yeah.
I know it's good for you.
I
It
had
is
somebody that I was working with, she used to drink it with water, and she'd call it her greens, and I'm like, that's interesting. She's like, here, try it. And I was
No
like,
sweetener or anything?
I was like,
oh my god.
no.
It's like punishment.
Yeah,
Oh,
what's sorry, it
At
was,
least it's
that
not
was like,
kale.
At least make it
yeah.
pleasurable.
Yeah.
I used to have a garden, and a lady would jog by every morning as I was out working in my garden, and she would pick the kale from my garden right
Wow.
in front of me and eat it and say thank you and run on. And I thought, if I hit her with the hoe just right,
Oh my
it is,
god.
and just like it was her,
It was her. Like,
it was-
thanks for sharing.
Yeah, not
my
even sharing. You
gosh.
owe me this. It
Yeah.
was that kind of thing. Like
Very entitled.
you grow it in my neighborhood, it's mine.
That's
you know.
Wow.
Funny.
That's
You
funny.
should have
Yeah.
poisoned it. No, that's too far.
Yeah, I know. I didn't want to go there because I would end up eating it and screwing up. So
Yeah.
yeah, this tastes wrong.
Yeah.
But
There you go.
I was amazed.
So, what are you drinking today?
I am just drinking filtered water.
Okay, so Maureen is our water girl.
Are
She
you a big
drinks
water drinker?
I drink a lot of water, yeah.
That
CJ?
probably means she's driving.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, well, yeah, what's really in there,
Yeah.
Maureen?
Right.
Just kidding.
Oh, right,
No,
yeah.
just water.
Do
And
you
Ken?
drink-
Oh, sorry.
This is called coffee. I'm not really sure what it is. It's really, really strong.
Yeah.
And we've diluted it twice already.
Yeah, see, I made Ken's coffee today, and I'm really good at making coffee, so I'm kind of like embarrassed of this one, but that's okay.
She should be
It
embarrassed.
was like mud,
That's-
and so
this
he's
is-
like,
this is
whoa,
embarrassing.
so we diluted it.
Well,
and
we're
then,
just thinking of
yeah.
it as coffee. If we don't think of it as coffee, it's actually pretty good.
Reframe it.
It's just our morning drink.
Right, so next time your coffee will be really good, I promise
Yeah,
you. I will
yeah.
make it the proper
better
way.
be or you'll
I was
kill me,
trying,
I
I
know, so, yeah,
modified the recipe, so that was my bad.
Maybe you
And you've had
put-
about enough of my crap.
No, I put too much coffee because I was trying to make it bigger, a larger cup, and I didn't do the
The math
ratio.
can be
Right.
tricky.
I did the math wrong. That's correct. Yeah. And I'm drinking jasmine green tea.
Have you guys ever had that cold brew coffee?
Yes.
Toddy or whatever
Yep.
it's called. Can you drink that?
Yes.
I can't. Ugh.
Is it strong?
Oh,
Is it
I
too
don't.
strong for you?
I don't like it.
It's
I,
really
if I'm going
strong.
to drink that, I prefer iced coffee.
Yeah.
It's a
yeah,
little lighter,
yeah.
but that's people love that stuff.
Oh, I know they do. And
Right.
Have you guys
Yeah.
tried the nitro coffee?
Nitro cold brew.
No,
I haven't
It's-
tried it.
This is probably.
I don't
like
know
the
how
cold
they
brew
do
I was
it, but
talking
it
about.
comes in like a keg.
Yeah, it's
You
just
can
pumped up.
explain it better,
It's
you
just
tell
pumped
it.
up with. It's just the same as cold brew, but it's pumped up with nitrogen. There's
Oh,
like a
okay.
nitrogen
Really?
machine.
It's
Comes
supposed
out
to
like a
hold the
Guinness.
flavor
Think about
better.
drinking a Guinness.
Wow.
Yeah,
It's the same principle.
it
It's really
makes it
foamy and
sweet.
velvety and sweet.
Really?
Yeah.
It doesn't have any sugar, but it's sweet. Like
Yeah.
they don't
Wow.
add anything, but it's sweet.
Right.
I might
And
try
cream.
They
that.
probably add sugar.
I would try it. It's
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah.
Because if there's no sugar,
Right.
But it tastes like
And
it.
it's got a punch, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It'll-
Every
it's a
time they
kicker.
say there's
I don't
no
know if I
sugar,
want a
you go,
punch, but-
this is sugar. I
Yeah.
can tell. It's
Well-
like those people that used to sell veggie burgers that weren't veggie burgers at all. You say, this is the best veggie burger I've
Oh
ever
my
had. Yeah, because it's
God.
100% cow.
Oh,
You know, and the
no.
most popular veggie burger in New York.
Oh my
That's
God.
funny.
That's from a sitcom, though. It's
That's
not my
funny.
own. So.
So, today we're going to be talking about how to find grounding in an uncertain world. Because everything has just been pretty nuts for a while. Although I think probably through history it always kind of feels a little like everything is totally nuts.
Everything's cyclical.
Yeah,
I think
it
that's
Earth
what it
is a
is,
little
very
bit
much.
nuts.
Yeah.
So
Right.
this is like a great topic for people right now.
Yeah.
I think.
Very much
Yeah.
so.
The way I ground is literally take my shoes off and walk on the ground.
Yeah.
And and if it doesn't work, you know right away because you step on something.
You got,
but
well, if it doesn't work, you got more work to do.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to find a different
know,
way to
exactly.
process
Beyond.
it.
And that's
What she
good.
said.
And I actually looked at Ken's astrological chart, and he does not have any Earth in his chart. In his,
Wow.
his planets are not in Earth signs. So I was like, yeah, if you feel like chaotic or whatever,
Yeah.
then you need to literally go outside.
Well, she told me to eat dirt every day.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
and
Yeah, sit on the
It
ground.
seemed to help. I
Sit
didn't
on the
know.
ground. Yeah, and do
Wow,
that. So
that's
and that works
interesting.
for
Wow.
him.
It really does. Yeah.
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 Does
I'm
that
not-
mean that different astrological? So if you like, Maureen is a
Water.
fire sign, but she has water.
No, I'm a water sign.
Oh,
She's
you're
a
a
water.
water sign.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
a water sign. But it depends because different planets are in different signs. Like I look at the whole chart, so different planets are different signs. So I see, if everybody's kind of lacking one or has a small amount of one of the four elements: air, earth, water, and fire. And so I would have to look at her chart to see.
Is there like
exactly
sort
what it
of
is.
universal advice you could give for someone's sun
Yes.
sign? So if you have a fire sun
No.
sign,
Not for sun signs, because it just. Well, if you do have a sun sign, yes, then you have more. Like if you have a fire sign, you probably have more. You're more fiery, right? She's more watery, and or he's more watery because he's a Cancer.
We're all
Right.
water.
Tend
Actually,
to
all
be
three of us are
watery.
watery.
Oh, yeah, you're all watery. I'm fire.
We're all watery.
On fire.
Ah, we make steam.
That's right. We make steam. That's really good. And you can, but there's more that plays into it because it's the planets. All the planets where they're placed. Yeah. And I just know Ken.
Yeah,
I just happened to look at his
interesting.
one day because he was kind of chaotic. He's like, I'm so
Me
chaotic.
chaotic? How can you
So-
say that?
So I pulled up his chart and said, hey, well, you don't have any earth in your chart.
Wow, that's
you're lacking
amazing.
earth. Go sit out. Go sit down outside.
Yeah.
Go sit with your sunflowers.
Yeah.
Talk to the
it
sunflowers,
works.
right?
I'm really
right.
happy with that.
So that's an I mean, that I'd have to look at somebody's chart and tell them that's a great way to ground,
So
But
that's why-
everybody can sit on the ground.
That's why gardening's so good for you.
Yes,
Oh,
that's
yeah,
exactly
yeah,
why
that's what's
gardening is
missing.
So you're
good.
drawn
Right.
to it, so it's
Yeah.
great.
Have you
Right.
always gardened? Have
It
you always
is.
felt drawn to that?
Yeah, I've actually always gardened. Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty cool.
And it probably makes you really.
Sometimes I
yeah.
can eat some of it.
Yeah,
Not
that's good.
often, but sometimes. Yeah.
That's a
Well,
good thing.
Maureen, you're like an earth witch. You're like a garden witch. Maureen has this amazing garden and this
Mhm.
amazing house, and it's just so charming and like magical.
It's
So
kitschy.
you
And
were,
she has chickens.
yeah, she has
And
animals, chickens.
I have cats. I have feral cat colony. I got chickens, which they never meet, so they to keep them apart from the chickens.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then I have a dog. I have a lab pit bull mix. That's Princess Molly Shoo Shoo Bun Bun.
Greatest name ever.
Yeah, greatest name ever.
Yeah, and I just, I'm very creative, so, if I almost like have these little vignettes all around my house. I guess that's what you would call them, right?
Oh yeah.
Like if I see
different
something-
spaces, different
Right.
energetic
Yeah,
spaces all
different
around your house.
areas that kind of like I get inspired over, color and patterns, and I do a lot of thrifting, so a lot of boho stuff.
She seems to like tools a lot too. Though.
Do I like
saw
tools?
a lot of your whole backyard.
Oh, but that's not mine. That's my
That's
son.
That's not mine.
That's not mine. I do have my own little tools, But yeah, and I love different patterns. I don't want everything matchy. I like things that are, kind of
Eclectic.
they complement each other, but they don't match.
So do you feel like you ground yourself
With creativity.
Yeah, with
I
creativity.
do. I do. If I'm feeling like, like I I have to get out of the house, or I've done everything I possibly can, I'm getting bored or antsy, then I'll go to the thrift store. I'll go to the bins. I love the bins.
Yeah.
You have to prepare yourself for the bins.
What is the bins?
Well, the bins are through a big company. I don't know if I can say their name, but here in Denver, I think there's several of them, and they just put out these huge bins of stuff that didn't sell in the store, in the thrift store, and then they sell it by the pound.
Oh
And
my
like
God.
books sell a little bit different. I think china and porcelain, things like that, sell a little different, and then clothing. And I'm telling you, everybody's there, all ages, everything, and people are very territorial. It's pretty funny. It's fun to go. I mean, you either love it or hate it. But I love the bins. I found some of my best stuff there. Really, really, yeah.
Have you ever? Is it like crazy energy because
It's
everyone's
crazy
fighting?
energy. Yeah, you have to be prepared before you go in. If you're feeling crazy, you'll feel crazy. No, actually, it makes me feel better.
Oh, nice.
I don't know why. So maybe it's a creative process.
Yeah, I think it is a creative process
You know?
for you. to
It's
do
like
that.
over there, oh my God, I see that sequin dress, bing, and I pull
Yeah.
it out. I actually had a friend one time, she threw me a scarf from the bins, and I looked at it and I'm like, I don't like that pattern. I gave it back to her. Is it Hermes?
An
or-
Hermes scarf.
I'm like,
You pull out an Hermes
OMG,
scarf.
what did I do? Because
Yeah.
I found out later she made her rent on that
Yeah.
one,
Oh, wow.
pretty much. But yeah, so you can find all kinds of stuff in the bins. But anyway,
That's really cool.
So-
That's a great way to.
Would you say
To ground
because of
yourself.
that story, you
Yeah.
feel when there's chaos going on around you? Do you guys feel more chaotic, or do you feel more grounded?
you know what it made me, that just made me think of something. It was like, I had a very dysfunctional childhood, so I function within that dysfunction.
Mhm.
Oh, very
Right?
interesting.
Function within the dysfunction.
Yeah.
So
I think
that
Bruce Lee talks
dysfunction,
about that. Yeah.
Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
Oh. So all that stuff going on is like, it's like I
It's
was
comfort.
I was more comfortable in that. Wow, I just realized that.
Wow.
Very
that's
interesting.
pretty funky.
So instead of the chaos in the world, you go into your own personal little chaos because
I guess
this is a space where you
I
can
feel
manage.
comfortable.
You can,
Yeah.
you
I
can
think you
function
build
in
the
that.
strength you need. And that's,
Yeah.
That's what
Wow.
she did.
Very cool.
Very
Okay.
good.
Very
Well, we have a
cool.
breakthrough.
Did my own
Right?
thing.
Yeah, I know, right?
Okay,
There you
wrap it
go.
up.
Goosebumps. Do you have the goosebumps, Ken?
I am actually.
There you go.
You do?
Ken's goosebumps.
Wow.
Awesome.
Wow, that's
And
pretty
Katie, how
cool.
do you ground yourself?
Oh, for me, water, like the beach, lake, stream, the sound of water. Even
yeah.
like Logan and
yeah,
I will
that's
go.
good stuff.
My boyfriend Logan will go down to even like the gutter after it rains, and just listen to the water rushing through the gutter.
Yeah.
Because we're from New Mexico and there is no water there
Wow.
at all. It is dry as a bone. So, definitely water. I would say baths. Baths are like incredibly healing for me. Do you guys like water? Does that help you?
I like the sound of streams, rivers, waterfalls are really like going hiking where there's waterfalls really
Yeah, they
makes
say
me
what
feel
the
good.
negative ions big time around falling water.
Oh yeah.
I've
Oh.
read that anyway. I can't feel it. It does feel better, but I go, oh, that's an ion. I never had that.
Interesting.
feeling.
I never knew that, but it does make me feel better.
That's what water features are all about. You
Okay.
have a
Oh,
really
yeah.
uptight office that's supposed to mellow. them
Okay.
all
Yeah.
out.
Because we
Very
have
cool.
too many positive ions. Just for the audience, if you guys don't know, we have too many positive ions. We need negative ions to balance us out. So like rainfall has negative ions.
Mm.
Your feet on the ground, that has negative ions, and you're exchanging the negative ions for the positive ions, and it actually makes you healthier, and it physically, like scientifically, grounds you.
Wow.
And so you're looking for the waterfall, like you were talking about.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's why Casa Bonita is so famous.
Okay.
'Cause they
That's
have
a, that's
they
a
have
restaurant.
waterfall.
That's a restaurant in Denver that was pretty
Oh.
famous, but then it closed for a while, and it'll be back.
Yeah, they're redoing it
They're
right
redoing
now.
it, and we'll go.
But it,
Yeah,
So-
we'll definitely go.
it has quite a show, though. It has cliff divers and a gorilla running around.
A gorilla.
Oh, I
Yeah.
forgot about the gorilla.
Yeah.
Now I
Wow.
remember that.
Yeah. Oh, I remember the good times, I tell you.
There you go. So do you ground yourself any other way?
Meditation.
Meditation?
Yoga.
How do you know when you're grounded?
Well,
That's a good question.
Okay,
this is
watch
hard.
your
I'll
eyes.
try to explain this, but when I'm sure you experience the same thing. When you're really kind of getting anxious and panicky and stuff is overwhelming you, that's very earthly. You get really small. You feel small in your body and everything seems big. I'm always trying to get to this space where I'm looking down on the
Oh,
world, and
yeah.
I'm up here, it's safe up here, and I can have perspective, so that stuff can't
Yeah.
stress me out.
Yeah.
So it's this feeling inside of me where I go from feeling like this, it's really small, to feeling
Yeah.
expanded and
Boy,
big
that's
and above
incredibly
the
mental health
situation.
wise.
Yeah,
that's great.
that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. Actually, we charge a lot to teach that. So, yeah,
That
yeah.
that's amazing. That's
Yeah.
really amazing because for me it's almost the opposite. When I need to be grounded, I have to go plop myself on the ground. I mean, get my shoes off.
You're a hobbit.
Yeah, I am. I'm a hobbit, and if I can, if I know like the grass is not a public area, there's probably been
Or
a lot
dogs
of
haven't made a lot
yeah,
of use of
exactly.
it, yeah.
I will. Yeah, exactly. I will laying on the grass,
Yeah.
laying on the ground is just like so comforting
Feels
to me.
good.
So comforting. I remember there was this one summer when I was just going through a lot of stuff, had a lot of personal stuff going on, and I needed to work through all this. And I would go out and I would sit, and this wasn't even on the grass, I would sit on the dirt, and I would bring this little candle, and I would just light this candle, and I would sit on
Oh,
the dirt, and
wow.
I'd have my shoes off
How
too.
old were you here?
How old was I?
Yeah.
Oh, I was an adult.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
So
probably.
you see a kid doing that, you worry. That's
Yeah,
all.
no, it was like 15. It was probably about 15 years ago, maybe a little more, about 15. But I would have my toes on the dirt, just feel so good, and my hands were on the dirt, and I would just sit there.
That is so
And just-
cool.
And but then after a little while, I was just okay, get my candle and go back
Yeah,
in.
balance is everything.
That is so
Right?
cool.
Did
I do have a
you-
lot of fire in my
Did
chart.
you find someone that told you to do that, or did you
I
just
did.
come up with it yourself?
Actually, I did. Like I said, I was going through something, discovering stuff, trauma. I was working through trauma, and I went to a psychic, and she was great. She was really cool, and she said, "You need to work through this," and because there was a whole process. I did this whole thing where it was a writing thing where I would write with my dominant hand. I'd ask a question, like whatever it was about the trauma, and write it out on paper with my dominant hand, which happened to be my right. And then the answer that would come to me, you write with your left hand, because it's like coming to
Wow.
you, and it was kind of automatic writing. But
That's
it
what
was
that's
with
called, automatic.
Yeah, but it was with my left hand,
Could
so
you
I would
read it?
answer the question.
Yeah, could you
I
read
could
it?
read it.
Okay. Good.
I could read it.
I don't think
so
I'd be able
it was
to.
right and right. So the question was with my dominant. The answer was with my non-dominant, and I would just do 3 questions, and I did that every day. 3 questions every day. Maybe it wasn't 3 every day, but at least 1 for. It was a whole summer. So
Wow.
a couple of months, 2-3 months, and I would just
That's-
sit there, and it worked through that trauma.
It was
Which
also
was great.
balancing. So you were
Yeah.
grounding and balancing
Yeah.
because you were using right and left
Right.
brain also probably.
wow.
Exactly.
Right?
Right.
What
Yeah.
So right and left brain, right and left balancing.
Yeah.
And intuitively knowing that this was going to heal and ground
Yeah,
you.
and thank God for her. I don't remember her name. I think her name was Joy. Joy was in her name. She's in Sedona now, I think. But anyway,
Pretty cool.
yeah, if she had not done that, I don't know. It was just like so important me to do that. But it was the dirt. I was sitting on the dirt, not even the grass. But now I like to go, or if I need something fun, I'm just like, the ground's not doing it. I'll go to a park,
Yeah.
like where there's little kids' playground.
Park
and I'll-
bench doesn't do it though, does it?
No, I swing. I get on the
Oh,
kids'
the
swings.
swing,
I
yeah.
swing. Or the
Wonderful.
slide. I just have to have movement and just
Yeah.
kind of have a fun kind of
Yeah.
grounding because
That
it's just
probably
it's too heavy.
soothes your inner child too, which
Yeah,
is probably
probably.
where people's
Inner
inner
child.
That's
child
where
is probably
exactly,
where a
and
lot of
that's
ungrounding
where
comes from.
exactly where the trauma was from. It was like
Oh.
your inner child is crying, crying,
Oh.
like you need to go play.
Yeah.
And that's what it was.
We all need more play.
We all do
We all
need more.
need
That
to-
will ground us.
to treat the inner child to that
Right.
playfulness
Right.
and allowing that child to have its needs met.
Would you say that that's an interesting point, that life can get so serious and everyone on the outside is trying to tell you all the serious stuff is happening? Do you think like play and fun would be really therapeutic for people?
Yes,
do. Me
absolutely.
too. Yeah. I
But I
do.
think anytime you can regress to that too, because almost all the trauma people have started there. So if you can go back there and get conversant, to where you can relieve some of that stuff. Getting back there is the hard part. Once you get back there once, I think you can go back again easier.
Way a lot easier because even if you're going through that and you're like, oh, I don't know what to do, you can go back to that place and in your ground, however you ground, if you're in the swimming pool or in the bath or
Yeah.
whatever it does, however you get to that place, you can say, Okay, so as a child, what was my favorite thing to do that was fun? And that fast, you're going to get what it is. And then, if you can, go do that.
I think probably animals and kids help you do that too, like pets and
Yes.
kids.
Yeah, they do.
Oh,
Kids will
yeah.
They
shut
do.
up, yeah.
Tap into that kind of fun inner
Yeah.
Yeah.
play
Or,
self.
you know, when you said animals will help you ground too. When
Yeah.
you're chaotic, you know,
Actually, a lot
petting
of
your
this
dog.
bullshit that us
Yeah.
men do in hunting is just an excuse to do that.
to be in nature.
Did you
That's
get
a good
anything?
point.
No. Did you shoot your gun? No. Okay.
Bonding
Did
and
you-
grounding.
right.
Yeah, because you weren't out there
Because
to
you're in
shoot
nature,
something.
Yeah.
hugging the tree.
Well, we also had a manly activity that
Like a
was
bonding,
approved, you know,
Yeah.
by other men, so we could buy the right clothes and the right truck and the right stuff to go do it. So it's a male bonding thing, and we don't really care if we kill anything at all, you know.
I talked to my boyfriend about that because I was like, "What's it with it? What's with men in golf? Like you're out there on the course for hours and hours just gonna stay." But then he told me, and I realized that you're just getting in nature. Like that's your way to
Yep.
get in nature.
And
Just
it's
like
some
all
of the
those
prettiest
things.
nature you've ever been in,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
I wanted to join a golf club just so I could walk around.
Yeah.
God, it's gorgeous, you know.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Same with fishing, which I think is
Oh, fishing.
incredibly boring.
Yeah.
But you're in nature. That's what
Yeah.
you're really
Yeah,
doing.
yeah.
When I would go fishing, I didn't actually fish. I sat on the side of the river and with the
So you didn't go
book.
fishing. You went like
Yeah, I was
reading.
just reading or whatever, you know, with my toes in the
She
water.
was reading about fishing.
I was reading. Oh no, I wasn't even reading. You know what I would do? I would
Is
look
that
at
Moby Dick?
maps.
No.
I would look at maps,
Oh,
and I would just look for really fun. That's
just
where.
to be there, just to find a place that would give you that.
No, I would just say like, where do I want to go? Where do
Well,
I
you
want to?
enjoy that
Where do I
too.
want to try?
You were
Dreaming. I was
dreaming.
dreaming. It was
You
a
would
dream.
really enjoy real
Daydreaming.
estate readings then, because you got to feel where the people need to go, you know,
Yeah.
and you can then say, well, this is what I'm seeing, what I'm feeling. There's so many really cool places around Denver that realtors haven't picked up on yet, that I have with other psychics, where the places that will
I'm going to tell
gentrify.
you to stop
Oh, I'm
drumming,
sorry.
please. Sorry.
Gentrify.
Just
yeah,
because-
just slap me. That's all I understand.
Just because it'll.
Yes, but then
Now keep going, Ken. Sorry.
But there are places that haven't gentrified yet around Denver that psychically you can tune into. That's all.
Oh, so it's maybe sitting by the stream, the water, wherever.
Well, the water goes by a lot of places.
Yeah.
You know, if you tune into the water, it'll tell you who's
Yeah.
there, who isn't there.
Yeah, tune
you
into
know.
that and say go upstream or go downstream.
Yeah.
There's this whole theory that water carries, well, it's not a theory, I mean, I'm sure you guys know this too. Water carries memory. So when you look at water, it's been everywhere because water is just recycled
Oh,
around the
yeah.
earth.
Yeah.
So I like to stick my hand in the river or whatever, and I think where this water has seen
Oh, that's a
Wow.
great thing to
Love
do.
that.
and it absorbed the energy.
That'd be a
it's
great
absorbed.
meditation
Right?
format.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I love that.
Yeah.
I like it.
Water's really special.
When if I get stuck in traffic on the hill, you know, or up in the mountains here, and I have to sit there, instead of getting aggravated, I turn everything off in the car, like the air, if I can, if it's not too hot,
not
and then
roasting.
turn the radio
Yeah.
off, and then I wind the window down, because there's the stream, you know, that mountain stream that runs by.
Oh,
and I just
right.
listen to the water
Oh.
as it's going by. It makes me feel really good.
Oh yeah.
Did that in, I think it was Yosemite one time, and they were rebuilding one of the walls, and there were like huge lines of cars, and we knew we weren't getting out of there anytime soon, so I did it there. And the silence, we are so not used to silence, okay?
Oh,
So-
so interesting.
Opened the windows, and the silence, they say the silence was deafening. It really felt different. You know that, have you ever had that feeling?
Yeah.
Like, and it's like you could hear the water, you could hear the leaves, you know, moving. And it's like in that moment, it's like very spiritual kind of thing,
I totally
I think. Yeah, it was totally a blessing, really, in a
Yeah.
way, to be able to think, okay, I'm not going to get aggravated, or I am aggravated, let me change that. Let me move that, you know, and get rid of that.
I think silence,
That's
what
great.
you're talking about, silence is something that most people don't experience hardly ever. It's really, really hard to get silence in your life, but I think that's kind of what meditation's about. But if you even can get
True.
into nature and get like 1 minute of silence, it's like you feel this like load, this relief.
Right.
Right.
Well, those tanks that people float in, those
Oh,
are silent.
yeah.
And as soon as you get in total silence, you can't believe how loud the silence
You're
is.
talking about the float tank, the
And,
float
yeah,
tank things?
yeah. But I work I worked in a really quiet place for a long time, and it's really cool because when things are absolutely silent, you realize all the noise that's going on in your own head, and you can feel your heart beating, you can feel your whole body working, but also there's so many thoughts that we go on that there's too much noise for us to pay attention to, and as soon as the noise is gone, a lot of stuff comes up.
Is it like those tanks would be like being in the womb but not hearing the heartbeat, but you would hear your own
yeah.
heartbeat?
Oh, yeah.
You
Not
do hear
hearing your
own
mother's
heartbeat.
heartbeat.
Yeah.
But you'd hear your own, so
Yeah.
it might take you to a different.
They let you
meditative
put music
space.
on. It would
That
be
makes
pretty cool
sense.
to actually put a heartbeat sound on while you got in those float
Yeah.
tanks.
Oh,
and it'd
yeah.
be like
I've never done
regressing
it,
into
so-
the
Yeah.
womb.
There
Yeah,
was
I know.
some commercial that was a big deal on back when I was a kid, that they put a heartbeat behind it, and they
Wow.
kicked it up, and I can't remember.
Wow,
what
that's
it
a good
was.
way to sell because it's like tapping into your earliest like
Right.
loving memory.
Yeah,
Right.
it's telling you, relax, you're safe. It's cool.
Yeah.
Buy this product.
Well, Maureen, you
Yeah.
kind of tapped into something really interesting. Two things, really, which was you said that when you rolled down the windows at Yosemite, you made the choice to change your energy. So that's a big part of if you're getting overwhelmed by the outside world is
Yeah.
realizing you have choice.
You have a choice. Yeah, that's true. I've been doing that in my house too because I live alone, and so I usually have the music or the TV or the news or blah blah blah. You know.
I don't think you're really alone.
Probably not in that house.
Yeah.
And I've stopped. I've turned everything off. And it's a different. I don't know. It's different. And when everything else around you is so chaotic, you're trying to survive, financially in all these different ways. It's just kind of nice to have that moment of silence, I guess. I don't know, maybe it sounds corny, but
No.
it
No, I think
works.
it's great.
It's true. I mean, I remember when my partner Al passed away, he had talked a lot. He was from New York. Ba, 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 always, we worked together. It was constant chatter, constant bickering, constant. So when he passed, there was that silence. And
Oh,
I
and
couldn't
it
have
hit
it.
you. Wow.
Mhm, I
Did you
couldn't-
start filling in his parts?
No, I turned on talk radio because I wanted to hear that.
Right, the song,
You know,
the voice, sound
Yeah, I
of the voice.
just wanted to hear that in the background, and it took me a little while, but I finally got over that. But yeah, so sitting in silence, and that's what to me is very healing. And the meditation, you can choose to do that. So you can choose to be aggravated in traffic, or you can choose to shift the energy and
Yeah.
use it in a different way.
I think if you sit in silence very long, you'll either learn how to meditate or you'll go bonkers.
Right.
So it's a good dividing line.
Yeah, either way, I think it serves its purpose.
Yeah,
Right, right.
way to go.
I agree. Right.
I have to tell you one real quick thing. When you were talking about sitting in the dirt and all that stuff, it brought me back to my childhood, where my mother was from Scotland. Her nickname was Mamie, and she was very earthy. She was also a Scorpio. And but anyway, she had this little way she would sit in the yard, and then she would find color. I don't know, back then I think all the bottles were glass. She had
Right.
green and brown glass. I don't know if there was blue, but she would find little bits on a walk that we would do, and she'd save the glass. And she'd sit in the yard, she'd scoop out a part of the dirt. She would take like little flowers that were around, like dandelions or daisies or whatever. She'd scoop it out, and then she would put them under the glass in the dirt, like make a little terrarium
Oh, like a little-
kind of.
Interesting.
I don't know what you would call
A
that.
little environment, yeah, like a little
Yeah, like your own
terrarium.
little thing. and
So
then-
interesting.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Was she an artist as well?
No, she.
Sounds like she was.
Yeah.
I don't know.
that's
She was
art.
very creative.
Yeah,
and,
that
That's
sounds
her.
creative,
That's her
isn't it?
version.
maybe, but it was just a sweet thing, and I remember because it would calm me down while I was sitting next to her,
Oh,
because
yeah.
I was like, rah, I was a
Yeah.
wild kid, and so dirt, playing in the dirt, being on the,
Yeah.
being grounded, sitting there with her, and then she'd get the dandelions and make like a little wreath for your head, like she'd make a little daisy chain and put it on your head.
yeah.
It was really cool.
That's very Irish. That's very cute.
I guess Irish,
Yeah,
Scotch
really.
Irish, yeah, it was
Wow.
really cool.
Very cool.
That is interesting because I guess you could really look at kids because they ground themselves without even thinking about it all the time.
You're right.
So whatever they're doing, they're always taking their shoes off. They're always like touching
know what to do, right.
everything. They're
It's
always
true.
like bringing rocks home and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
bringing
Playing
home
in the
natural
dirt.
elements. They have their little treasures.
Yeah, and if they don't, you've got a problem.
Yeah. That's when I can't imagine. I grew up in the mountains. There was lots of outdoor space. You grew up
Pretty much everywhere.
Ken grew up,
It's,
yeah.
it's mostly small towns.
But it was like you had outdoor.
Oh yeah,
space,
yeah.
right?
There was
Did you guys
nothing to
both
do
have-
indoors.
Oh gosh, we lived outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were outside.
But things were different then, though.
constantly.
That's where your parents would say, "Get lost, come back at 6
Or
for
go
dinner,"
out,
and
get
and,
outside.
and that was it.
Yeah.
You know, you'd see it leave at 6 in the morning, come back at 6 in the evening.
Yeah, the only time we were in front of the TV was on Saturday mornings
Yeah.
for cartoons.
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 Because we would shut up. That's why.
Yeah, and then my mom, I would hear her voice calling me when it was time to come in, but she wasn't calling me.
Yeah.
But I would hear her.
Oh, you'd
Yeah.
hear it in, like you knew it's
You
time
knew it
to
was
go
time.
home.
Oh,
Like,
how interesting.
Did you want me to come in? And
My
she's like,
mother's a
no, I didn't come in.
Pavlovian, so she rang a bell.
Okay.
She
Oh,
really
funny.
did?
Yeah,
She rang
That's
a bell,
true story?
like the dinner bell.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I salivated.
Yes, time to eat. I'm hungry all of a sudden.
My foot's going like this. I can't tell you why. You know.
Yeah.
God,
Time
that's
to eat. Interesting. So I grew up in just kind of a small, not like really small. I grew up in Santa Fe.
New Mexico.
So yeah, and just a neighborhood. So there was like trails. I used to go ride our bikes on the trails and stuff like that. But I lived down the street from a park,
Oh,
and
okay.
I lived at that park. We all did. Like the whole neighborhood. There's a lot of kids, and we were always at that park. Always.
Community.
Yeah,
That was
there's
your
community.
community of
There's
children.
swing slides, all
Yeah.
these things that I gravitate to now. When I can't ground myself being on the ground, I was playing on the things.
I always find that interesting because we all like grew up more in nature, and I had never really been in a big city. And then my boyfriend and I went to Paris last year,
That's a big city.
and it's like a walking, right in the city center where it's just walking
Wow.
and I had a hard time for a little bit, especially because the buildings, I just had no line of sight to the sky really.
Right.
There's
Yeah,
like no
that's a biggie.
visibility. I was surprised how much it affected me. I think I could have gotten used to it, but I find it interesting how some people seem to actually be city people,
Mm-hmm.
which
Yes.
I don't really. Maybe it's in their astrology.
It is in their
because
astrology.
I don't understand that.
It is.
I feel
It's
a little
astrology at
chaotic.
play. Some
Wow.
people, yeah, it's very interesting how people are more comfortable. I could tell you from where, like the place, because I know your chart, the place what will make you happiest place to live, like where your home will be, is where there's fun and it's warm.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
you've got Leo in that certain place in your chart.
Very interesting. So you could look at Ken's chart, Maureen's chart, anybody's chart, and
Anybody's
know
chart.
where they would be the happiest to live.
Yes.
Warm is good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and happiest to like travel to, and your reasons for traveling.
Ah.
I'm thinking about your chart. You're
Ken.
right, Ken. You are an Aries ascendant, I believe.
I think so.
Aries, Gemini, Taurus.
I'm
Oh, you like water. You said you like water?
Yeah.
Yeah. Being near water, being near
Oh,
lakes,
yeah,
being
yeah.
near a river, that's
Yeah.
yeah. And also if you don't have access to that, a water feature in your home,
Yeah.
the sound of that, like a little waterfall or a little, some
They
kind
make an air
that-
conditioner that's this big. That's a water air
Uh-huh.
conditioner, and it gurgles.
And
all
the sound
time.
of that.
And it's cool.
Yeah.
Life is good.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that makes you the sound
It
of
does,
water. That
does,
is
yeah.
totally for you. Yeah.
Well, now that we're talking about that, you guys have. I know my mom, Yola. You have not lived in a lot of places. You've lived in pretty
Right.
much Santa Fe, Albuquerque, which is an hour away, and then now Denver.
The mountains by Albuquerque and
But
here.
really, like two
Right.
places.
Right. Three
Maureen
now.
and Ken, you both have moved a little bit more.
Oh yeah.
So were there
everywhere, yeah.
places where you felt more grounded, more like at home?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Where did you?
Well, I loved the Bay Area.
Of
I lived
California.
in San Jose for quite
Mhm.
a while. And you could get to Santa Cruz and in the mountains within like less than an hour. Sort of like here, you can get up in the mountains real quick.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, and I loved Portland, Oregon. Oh my
Oh,
God, and I
interesting.
love that Pacific Northwest, the green, the Northern California. I love all that.
I bet you
felt
have.
at home
I bet
there.
you have like certain lines, because there's certain lines attached to
in her
planets
chart.
in your
Mhm.
chart.
Yeah.
Right, that you
Astrology
can look
chart.
at, and I bet there's something really
Yeah, I
positive
just
going through there.
Felt peaceful
Yeah.
there.
I totally agree with everything she just said.
You
You
like,
like
that
that
part
area?
of the
I
country?
like that area a lot.
Love
I've
it,
lived there
yeah.
a lot, and it's the people are nice too.
They're very nice people. Yeah, it's simpler, but But just as a feeling, or just as like, made me feel safe. I felt safe. I felt
Okay.
And it feels so
grounded.
raw too. It feels
Yeah.
like this is what America's supposed to
Real
Exactly.
people, real
Exactly, yeah.
experience.
I
Yeah.
loved it.
What advice would you give to people who maybe they're young, like maybe they are teenagers or something, or for whatever reason they can't move, but they don't really feel comfortable where they're living? How can they find more grounding and peace in
Just
the
like
situation they have to have?
Just like the Bruce Lee thing, find a teacher and study.
Yeah.
And learn how to change your consciousness, learn how to meditate, you can even work out with martial arts. That's a meditation too. But find something like that takes you literally away from the city for an hour. It might be just in your own mind, but it gets you out of the city.
Yes, and not everybody can meditate. Like you said, you
Right.
get bored, and that's in your chart as well.
Right.
Like if you have a lot of Mars dominant in your chart, you're probably not going to want to sit and meditate. Like it's not possible, or it's really, really difficult. So you want to do something physical, like you're saying, like walk, run,
Yeah.
work out, do
Even play video
kickboxing
games.
or,
I mean,
or whatever.
even
You know,
that
something
stupid thing.
that is active.
I've heard this teacher talk. I can't remember what they taught, like spiritual stuff, and they were saying that when you do martial arts or like yoga, or what's the one that people do that's kind of like yoga but it's
Tai
gentle?
Chi.
Tai Chi.
Tai Chi,
That
yeah.
what you're actually
yeah.
doing is like, and you kind of talked about this, Ken. You're actually like balancing all your bodies, your etheric bodies and your physical body, all your different bodies, and it's actually working your energy around to balance both sides. And there's like a lot of spirituality going on when you do those
Yeah.
types of movements.
Well, it's what you're doing it for. You know, if you're doing it to save your soul, that's a little different than to calm yourself down. And so you want to have a pretty good idea of what you're doing, because there's different techniques for everything. That's one thing Yola's good at. That's one thing Marine's good
Well,
at.
I'm curious about that. If you're doing it to save your soul as opposed to calming down, can you expand on that?
Sure, if you're going to save your soul, there's something wrong going on. So you need to deal with that. If you just want to get healthy or happy or whatever, the
abs.
easiest way with me is just remember when I was happy before. All those memories are connected. So a birthday party when I was 4 years old makes me happy when I'm 70. So I mean, it's happiness doesn't have a time frame on it. Fear doesn't either, but happiness doesn't. So you can find any happy memory you've got and remember it, and you'll be happy again.
Just go back to that place.
It's that simple. People say, "I just want to be happy." Have you ever been happy? Well, yeah, duh. Just your body remembers how to be happy. It knows when it's not happy. And it knows when you are happy, and you can, just like adjusting the heat of the bath water, you adjust it to where it feels just right, then you do it. You get
Go to
in.
happy.
It's
Yeah.
interesting that there's this piece of magic in Harry Potter where he's making a Patronus, but what you have to do to make this, it's like a powerful sort of protection spell. To do it, you have to tap into like your happiest memory and feel that memory. Otherwise, you
There's
can't make
power
the
in it.
spell.
There is power in it. Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, and all the stuff I'm studying now is you even want to focus that to a certain part of your body, specifically your heart,
to
so
heal
that you're not just
specific.
happy, you're happy in your heart. And then you're happy, and there's kind of a pushing technique where you push that energy then somewhere else.
So it's work. It's your own work for your own good, for your own. It's like, so I have a sticker I keep in my kitchen. It made me angry at first. It says, "Happiness is just a choice."
Yeah.
Well, damn it.
That
Yeah.
does piss people
I'll
off.
show
when
you
they
a
first
right,
start
right,
doing it.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a choice.
That's
What-
the hardest
what are
thing
you
Yeah,
talking
right.
about?
accept. Oh my god.
But it is.
It is a choice.
Yes.
Well, for other people, not for me.
Other people can
When
choose
people
that.
start working on personal development, I always say that is like the thing that will either make or break them, is if they can accept that they're responsible for their
Yeah,
happiness,
their happiness.
It's
feelings.
like working on
Their,
yourself.
right, their life, right.
And a lot of people can't accept that, and so they don't move forward, and they're like,
Well, people don't want responsibility. I don't either. I don't blame them. Oh, you're responsible for your own happiness. Well, then I guess it's my fault, isn't it? And I'm not really interested in going down that road. What I'm interested in is
It's
getting
easier.
happy.
It's easier to be a victim.
Yeah, and I don't want to blame somebody for me being unhappy. I don't want to blame me for being unhappy. So can we do something else that doesn't go the blame route? When have I been happy before? Have I ever seen anybody else be happy? How did I know they were happy? Because from their expressions, I could feel in me their happiness.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the only way you know someone else's emotion is you relate it to yourself. And so if you want to be bummed out, watch the news. If you want to be happy, think about go to the park or play with puppies,
Or watch
whatever.
a
Right.
cute
You know.
video about cats.
Yeah, and it works. My favorite is that damn little white rabbit that's eating a raspberry. Oh, I can't get away from that
So
thing.
cute.
Oh,
I've never
geez.
seen that one.
Me neither.
Bunnies are
it'll
super cute
tear
when
you
they
up.
eat.
Really?
Because they have these little mouths.
Oh, and he's getting
These
it
tiny
all
little
over
mouths.
his face. It's just a
Aw.
riot.
Cute.
Oh, I've never seen that.
I haven't
You
either.
touched on something that helped me a lot when I was going through a downtime, Ken, which was you said, like, go back to your memory when you were really, really happy. But you can also do that. You can future pace yourself and do that in the future. And so I would picture myself, like, not living where I was living because I didn't like that, or not doing what I was doing. I'd picture myself, no, this is how it's going to be. And I would feel what it was like to have
All
that.
right.
And that's what got me through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And now I've sort of am living what I was picturing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, to me that's so powerful.
Yeah.
And a lot of it too, though, is I'm shameless. I don't think I'm all powerful. I need help. So whenever I'm doing something like that, I ask for help.
From your angels, from your
Here's
guides.
I don't know who it is.
Whoever.
It could be Joe Biden. I don't know.
At least you're honest about it.
But yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'd give you names if I had names. I don't have names. But no, then you get help. Then I like it.
Yeah, it's
And
like a
kind of-
visualization
Yeah, absolutely.
of the future.
Absolutely.
And having an intention
Yep.
of, you
And
know,
feeling it.
creating that. Yeah, it's really, really cool. I once went to maybe this doesn't sound related, but it is to me. But I went down in this mine shaft up in the mountains up here by Leadville because my partner Al loved to mines and rocks and gold mining and all that. And so he talked me into going down this mine shaft, and you had to sign a
You
paper.
must have really loved him.
I did, yeah. And so you had to sign a waiver. I have pictures, but I don't look happy. Speaking of happy.
Look terrified.
But anyway, I had to visualize because the box, the what do you call it? The cage, the
Yeah,
thing we
yeah.
were
Like
in.
the elevator.
elevator.
kind
Yeah,
of
we
thing.
were going down like 600 feet
Into the
Oh.
mine?
Yeah.
Oh
into a
my
mine,
God.
and we had to bundle
It's
up.
very dark in mine.
And it was
Yeah.
freezing down there. So this guy up top, I was like, he's going to ring the bell when it's time to bring us up. I'm like, holy shit. But anyway, so I had to visualize behind me an opening.
Oh.
Because there's three of us in this
Oh, so
thing.
you were in a bigger room.
Yeah, it's three of us going
And I can get
down.
out.
Yeah, so the only way I could not have a panic attack with three of us almost face to face, in this little box going down a tube, a tunnel,
Yeah.
vertically down into
It's
the
more
thing.
intimate than you want to be.
It was.
Yeah.
I had to visualize a tunnel, a big, huge tunnel going behind me, and that's how I got through.
And it
that.
opened up to the outside. The big tunnel that opened up to the outside.
She just needed room.
It didn't open up to the outside, but
And
it
it's
was
actually-
something. It was
it's
an
actually
escape
right
route.
It's
around
just
here,
space.
too.
It was
You
an
gotta-
escape route
You want to feel it.
for
yeah.
me mentally, and I could
Yeah.
actually feel it. I
Yeah.
could feel that.
It's a
opening
physical
behind.
thing. It really is.
Yeah. And so you can manifest a better future, a better
Yes.
life, a better, going forward for
Can I
yourself.
tell you guys a really cool manifesting story that happened
Sure.
to me like 2 days ago?
Oh,
So
Yes.
there's this, I've kind of dealt with symptoms, like I've been sick for the last several years, and there's this medicine I want, but it's over the counter. It's sort of a mix between a medicine and a vitamin, and I've wanted it for a long time. It's very expensive. So I called the company and I started the order, and I was trying to use this special type of health account, but it turned out they didn't accept it. So I was like, okay, I'll call back. And then, like, just 2 days ago, the medicine showed up in the mail.
Oh.
And
Oh.
it got sent by accident, or it got sent by my angels, my guide. It got sent
Wow.
for free. It didn't charge
Well,
us.
yeah, that's another
It
one.
said
accident.
right. It
yeah.
said on the shipping thing. It said the payment was by gift certificate.
Wow.
So I don't know what happened, but now I have this medicine that I've been
Well
wanting
done.
for
Oh
so
my
gosh,
long.
good for you.
I know, it's such like a blessing.
Give me some of that.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think
I've got a car payment I could.
Yeah.
All right, that's great.
I really, really believe in like the power of positivity.
That is
Yes.
amazing.
But I also know that you have to feel your feelings too. So I think that's something you guys could talk about. Like if you're going through a hard time, you should allow yourself to feel that. But also
Because
definitely.
you're
see
going
the
to feel
light
it sooner or
at the
later
end of the
anyway.
tunnel.
You might
Yeah,
as
you
well
can't
keep it.
avoid
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the end of the tunnel. That's kind of a
yeah,
Yeah.
like we
Right.
were just talking about.
Right, light at the end of the
just
tunnel.
right at the end of the tunnel. Wow.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's when you have something happen like that, though, that isn't possible or isn't normal or whatever. To me, acknowledging that is so big. And what I try to do, because I'm greedy, is I try to go back into that moment and see what else I can get out of it.
Oh, yeah.
What else is there? No, because
And I
lots
don't
of
think
times
that's
there
greed.
is.
I really don't
you
think
know.
that's greed. I
Right.
think you're tapping into your power.
Right.
Because
Sure, I'll go with
it's
that,
not
you know.
taking anything from anyone. That
Well,
was like,
you're looking at what else can happen.
I
how
want
much
as much
better
as I can
this
get out of
be?
this. That's the greed
Right.
part of
Right.
it.
yeah, the universe wants you
That's amazing.
to
Yeah.
have.
Right.
If I can get extra onions,
you
I
need.
want them. Damn
Right.
it.
Yeah.
Right.
You know? So yeah.
Right.
Okay, so what I want to ask you guys next is, there's a lot of people really struggling. They feel totally wackadoodle-doo, like out of control in their minds, and maybe they haven't even experienced this in their lives before, but it's really about what's going on it's happening to everyone because it's what's going on to us astrologically and just spiritually as a planet. So what would you want people to hear about, like, staying the course and just keep pushing through, and like how to feel better and just different techniques? Like, I know my mom, when she was going through a hard time, she got a lot of readings. That might be
Right.
something that
I
people
got a
can get
lot of
done.
readings.
And
Well,
that's
we
not-
encourage
I got
that
help.
a lot.
Yeah.
I got help.
You
And
asked
That was
for
my.
help.
I
You
asked
asked
for.
for
I
help.
asked for help.
And
right.
that
That's
is
a
the
good
key.
point. That's the
Asking
key.
for help,
It's
right.
okay to ask for help.
Right.
I learned that
You're
when
not
I lived
alone
in
in
New
this.
York.
You
Yeah.
are not alone.
It's okay to ask for help because I
Right.
always thought I had to do it myself, but
Right.
you're not alone and you don't have to do it yourself.
Right.
And yeah, ask for help. It's a
And
real
it doesn't
simple
take
thing.
money. I mean, I'm not just like plugging our readings,
No,
but
no.
you can get help. Yeah, help from your neighbors, your friends, your
Right.
local church.
Go have coffee.
Your-
Go to your church. Go whoever. Go have coffee with your
Books.
friend. Right.
Books are
so many
unbelievably
books. Right.
helpful.
Right.
Think though how hard it is for most people to ask for help.
It is hard.
And that's,
Why is it hard?
you know,
Why is it hard?
they're giving up sovereignty. They're giving up control of their own life.
I-
And they don't want to think that. They don't want to think that there's things out of control in their lives, even though there are many things
Interesting.
out of control in their life. But they don't want to think that. They want some reassurance that this is actually under control.
Yeah, that they have control.
And that everything's going to be okay, even if they don't do anything.
Yeah.
And they kind of want that kind of reading. They don't want to know anything they need to do because they don't know what to do.
Do you think that it's, from what you're saying, it kind of sounds like a pride thing as well, like asking for help? So do you think
Kind
that
of, but it's ignorance
harder
too.
for
They don't know
men?
what to do. If they had a grandma that said, when you get back to in a corner, here's what you do. If they would have had granddad saying, when nothing makes any sense to you, go fishing. And actually that was, when I was a kid, that was standard advice, by the way. Things are crazy, go fishing. And that actually does work.
Which isn't bad advice, yeah, because you're
Yeah.
getting into
Right.
nature.
Right. You get
Yeah.
into
But it's
nature.
American
yeah.
folk wisdom. We have a lot of that. And when people get in these situations, particularly when they think they're having what could be a psychic experience, but they're not sure, and they're in emotional turmoil, which actually kind of generates the psychic experience, they need to know that, number one, it's okay. If it doesn't happen again, it's just fine. If it does happen again, welcome it, because it's happening for a reason.
Yeah.
And the reason's there, and it will keep happening if you don't pay attention to it.
Right.
That's a good point. Pay attention to what's going on.
Right.
Or it's going to keep, like, if you're supposed to be learning a lesson and you're just trying to ignore it and pretend like it's not happening, it's going to hit you over the head over
Right,
and
it
over and
will.
over.
And it'll
Yeah.
get. It'll
Until
hurt
you
more.
deal
Until
with
you
it.
learn
Right.
it.
And it'll be obvious to everybody else but you.
Right. Right. And so, Maureen, I want to ask you, why do you think that people don't ask?
I think because they don't want to be refused. They don't want to be
Interesting.
like ask for help and they're like, oh no, I can't be bothered, or oh, I don't have the time, or whatever. And help it means different things to different people. So my help might be different than your help. What
Right.
you need, is different than what I need. And a lot of times we end up just trying to do everything ourselves because we're afraid that we're going to be rebuked or refused or ignored or whatever,
Almost like it's harder it's easier to just not ask for help at all than to ask for help and not get it.
Yeah,
And
not,
not get what you need.
right. Not, yeah.
Well,
not,
also,
not,
you might not get good help. too. I mean, there's all of that, you know. I mean,
I don't know. I think if you ask for help, good or bad.
Well,
it's just like,
she's meaning from non-physical sources. I think there are physical sources that if you ask for help, they can screw you.
So people have trust issues, you're saying?
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
trust. There you go.
Yeah,
it's probably
trust.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Probably
yeah.
trust.
But
Interesting,
if you're asking
yeah.
yourself, there's no trust issues.
Yeah,
So,
that's true.
I think if you're like trying to keep going too, it starts with an intention. You really have to start with yourself and say, no matter what, I'm going to intend for things to get better, and I'm going to work on myself. And it's also about putting yourself first if you're having a really hard time, because I think a lot of people, they get in this cycle of helping everyone else, and you need to come back and help yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, part of it. So something happened in my life where it was just something. But anyway, I needed help. And it was like people that I went to help for that I never asked for help in my life. It was like, but I really need help, and I did ask for help.
Yeah.
It's like, I need help.
It's like you have to humble yourself.
Yeah,
to ask for
absolutely.
help,
It was
'cause you're
like
used to doing it
really
yourself.
hard, but I
Yeah,
asked for
really
help
hard.
and I didn't get it.
Yeah.
I did not get it at all. It was
Yeah,
like
that can break
there
you.
was like nope or yes but if there was those kinds of things, and I asked like 3 people, and one of them like out the door, like
Yeah.
didn't even want to hear the
Yeah.
question.
Wow.
So it was like a no. So I was like, okay, then looking back now, it's probably because I had to figure it out how to do that myself, or be able to let go of that. You know what? Okay, that's okay. Let go of that, or figure out how to, and
Yeah.
which I did both. I had to
Yeah.
figure out how to do it myself, and then I did have to let go of all that, because it was like a hurt, an
Yeah.
anger, and
Yeah.
all of those emotions were inside of me, and I had to learn to let go of it.
to me, the
So
key
it's a
things you're
lesson.
saying is I had to figure out. I had to learn, and you did all that.
Right,
And
I had-
that was
Right.
It's like the
Congratulations.
willingness.
The willing, right, and
willingness
that's
to go
right,
forward.
and
Yeah.
I grew from it.
Yeah, you
It's
did.
like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, I know how to do that now.
yeah.
Ken-
You didn't run from it. And
Yeah.
it's real easy to run from it. So,
Right,
yeah.
right.
Ken, do you think it's harder for men to ask for help
Oh,
because of
always.
the
Sure,
ego
we're
issue?
tough. We don't need help. Watch TV. I mean, who's the hero? The guy that knocks people out and doesn't need help.
So, what would you tell young men then who are looking for help? Would you tell them to just ask for it, or just get over that? What would you tell them?
And this is I hope they take this right. Ask another man who's been through it. Hopefully, an older man, but it can be a younger man too. And I'm sure at one point priests filled this job. I don't know if they do now or not. But men will take advice from other men more than they will on certain things. On certain things, they'll only take advice from mom. But on some things, they'll only take advice from other men. And when men are lost, they consider it unmanly to be in that position. So if they can receive help from a wise older man who can perceive their situation, see what they're going through, and just give them a couple words saying simple stuff like, try to last another week. It'll be different next week.
Well,
That helps both. That helps both generations.
Oh, it does,
Right?
it does.
Completely helps, because the older one probably didn't grow up in a place where you could do that. But being asked for that help, they're willing to do
Well,
it.
when you're an
and
old fart
yeah.
and somebody asks you, you feel like you're part of the culture.
Right.
You feel
Really,
like, oh,
really
I'm
cool.
part of this family unit or
Yeah.
this grouping of people, whatever their coordinating
Yeah.
thing is. But you do feel that way, and that's they say in women in Jungian psychology there's the crone, which is the wise
Mm-hmm.
woman that carries the wisdom of the tribe. Men have hopefully the same thing. We don't live as long, so you got to pack it in a lot quicker with us. But that kind of thing and it's so fulfilling for an older man to pass on what no one else has respected to a young man who sees the value of it. With me, it was learning how to set a trap to catch a mink. My father showed me how to set a trap line. And while I'm never going to eat a mink, or I'm never going to wear a mink coat, in fact, I never caught a mink, feeling part of that,
Yeah.
that knowledge coming from an older
lineage.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably why the military works, unfortunately, is because we'll take advice from we'll take orders from older men
Interesting.
who are weaker than we are, but are older and we think more intelligent than us.
Well, on the note of finding someone who could be a good mentor, because that's good advice, finding someone who could be sort of a guide or a mentor for you. What I've noticed about people as they get older, well, just adults, I guess, all adults, but the wiser, you get wiser the older you get, hopefully. Yeah, hopefully. Everyone said hopefully. But I think how you can tell if someone's wise, I always notice the people who think they're wise but aren't really act more like adults. Like, I need to be an adult. I need to be really serious. But really, the super wise people, they have that playfulness. They have that inner child because, like, moving towards true wisdom, and a lot of teachers talk about this, the biggest thing you learn is, like, life, it doesn't have to be so serious. Like, it's just like the Buddha thing where, like, there's a Buddhist saying that's like, you've found true peace when you can look at the sky and laugh or something like that. So that's what I see in all of you, is you're just playful. You don't have to take life so seriously. And I think especially when you're younger, you take life so seriously. Like, everything feels like so critical.
Yeah.
And hopefully when you get older, you
we
grow out of
learn
that.
what, like, does it really matter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the don't sweat the small stuff, that comes into play.
So is that
like,
good
we don't-
advice for people, telling people, like, does this really matter? Is it
Right,
going to matter?
is it going to matter? And there was a saying, I don't remember what it is, but it's like, if it's not going to matter in 5 years, then don't invest 5 minutes of energy into that,
Yeah.
right?
But there's
and
also
just don't
the thing
carry
that
it.
Good
each stage of your life has its own things that are really important.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
True.
I do not want to go to work today, but I will go to work today because I have people dependent on me, blah,
Right.
blah, blah. So there are things, that, and I'm forgetting my point here.
What matters
That's
at
half
a
the fun of being
different,
old.
different things that matter at different ages,
Yeah.
stages of life,
Yeah.
not ages.
Yeah, and as you're a kid, you don't see that stuff. That's the nice thing about being an old man, though, because you see some young guy working his ass off, busting his ass, frustrated because all the things he's trying to get done aren't getting done fast enough, and he goes through all of that, and you can feel the testosterone, you can feel the protectiveness in them, all of the stuff they want to do to make this situation right, so that their role as a protector and a provider is continued. And so you can feel all that because we motivate ourselves with frustration, and so you can feel the young guy just beating his head against the wall, and it's because he hasn't had an old man to say to him, I see what you're going through, I've been through it too, here's how you do it. You eat you eat an elephant one bite at a time.
Yeah.
You take one little thing and we do
Yeah.
that right, then we do the second thing right, and that's how we build a castle.
Right.
That hits on this point that Yola and I were talking about the other day, which is just so many people, I think a lot of their frustration and misery comes from they feel totally unseen. They're suffering and they don't think anyone else sees their suffering. And they just feel totally alone and unseen. So I think something that we could do is just tell everyone you're seen, because
Yeah.
people...
There's an African thing of
There's
saying
people
when you meet
seeing you.
somebody, I see you,
Oh.
and that's the greeting. And I'd like to add that to ours because I agree that
Right.
totally.
That's what I like to do when I see homeless people, is just think, I see your suffering. And I
Right.
think
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
one of the best gifts you
Right.
can give them.
Yeah.
Because they
And
probably feel
supposedly
totally
that's the
unseen.
most important thing to little kids too, is just seeing them,
Right.
just
Oh,
making eye contact
definitely.
with
Right.
them, and it doesn't even have to be approval. It just has to be acknowledging
Right.
they exist.
Totally.
That's such a biggie.
Yeah.
And a lot of people didn't get that when they were kids, so they probably need to
Yeah, we
heal
didn't
that
do
now.
enough. Well, there's a school of psychology that says that's the basis for all of our screw ups. Is we weren't like they've got these tribes in some foreign country, I have no idea, but they hold the kid all the time, and the kids, there's no juvenile delinquency, there's no fighting, there's no crime among kids, among young people, because the kids get held till they walk, that changes them.
Yeah.
Well, so how about, do you want to go ahead and do a card pull for
I do.
for grounding? Like,
Yes.
you can make it about how people can ground, or like the advice for people now, the best way to
But
find
what cards
grounding.
are these? These are beautiful cards.
I'm going to shuffle them on my lap because I don't want to make a lot of noise, and then I will let you see the cards.
Do you
I
know
love
what
cards.
the
I think
history of
they're-
the cards are?
I think they're Rider Waite's,
Okay.
but they're pretty.
That's a pretty
They are
Rider
pretty.
Waite deck.
Right,
I
they're
haven't
pretty,
seen that
and
one.
the back. I always pick by what I like,
What they
like
look
the
like.
design.
what they look like,
Yeah.
and you never see the inside. I always see the outside.
And there's so many of those
Right,
now.
right. There's so many, and I
Yeah.
like purple,
I think there's
and I
72.
like green.
I mean,
Green is a color of healing, and so I
Sorry.
pick green, and purple's my color. So
Yeah.
but these are them. They are a Rider
Okay.
Waite, but
Very
Maureen,
nice.
we found the best deck for you the other day. It was like a Celtic fairy deck.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, we
Really?
should get this for Maureen. And then the craziest thing, Maureen, like the whole like philosophy behind your reading is Anam Cara, right?
Yes.
Which is it's an Irish philosophy.
Yeah, it's an Irish it's like Anamkara is soul friend.
Yes.
Yeah,
Well, there was a card in the deck for Anamkara.
really.
I know, it's so
Wow.
crazy. I took a picture.
Oh,
I'll give
good,
it to you
because I
later.
need to know what that
I'll
is.
link them
Yeah.
in the
Love it.
show notes as well,
Okay.
in case anyone wants to go look at them.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Oh.
I shuffled them, so now, do you want me to just pull cards?
Yeah.
Okay, how many do you want me to pull?
Want to do 3?
3, yeah.
Three's
Okay, well, I'm going to put them right here in front of both of you
good. Okey-doke.
so you can
Ah.
see them.
Well, that's good.
A man with money.
And so say
A
out
young
loud
man
what you
What they are,
Right.
I can't see them from here,
So
so.
we have the Knight of Pentacles, we have the Eight of Wands, and we have Transition, which we were talking about.
What is transition in the other decks, though? I don't remember seeing a major arcana
Oh.
transition. What is it?
I don't know.
Okay.
I just want to focus on
Okay, I'm
what
sorry.
these are. Sorry. So the Knight of Pentacles, it's like a man with a, like he's moving forward with, an offering of something, it seems to me. And the Knight, would be a man of strength, a man of, not just physical strength, but maybe wisdom and, personal strength.
Maybe young.
Well, I don't know about that. And then the Eight of Wands, I think that's like, this person looks like they're wishing for something, like they have an intention. So maybe they're, hoping for money. I don't know what it is. And I'm not a tarot reader, but I'm just kind of looking at this. And then transition is, change. So transition could be moving, the time of year, all that. But in a way, we are all kind of in transition right here. We're, just starting our podcast and
Right.
starting, moving forward.
And the world's in a state of transition.
Oh, the
It-
world
it
is
is,
a total
yeah.
state of
Everything
transition.
is changing.
Yeah,
Right.
and nobody's in control, really. You can only control what you do. You
Right,
can only be control of
absolutely,
yourself.
and how
but,
you react to it.
yeah, exactly.
Is this a man or a woman?
I think it's a woman. That's a woman.
So for me, with this show, just the meaning that popped out at me is sort of like if you set your intention, which is like the middle one, you can reach the transition point. you
Yeah.
know?
Right.
Yeah.
Are you
Done.
guys getting any psychics hits off this?
Yeah, this one is exploration, intellectual exploration. He's been looking for answers, and they're coming back. So this is return of information. That's how I read that card. To me, this is a young man who's really interested in money. Pentacles, duh. And he's a knight, so it means that he's getting started. He's not a page. So he's clutching in money. So he's a young stockbroker kind of guy. This one I don't know. I don't know what transition is.
Well, it's movement. It's
Right.
change.
Well, I mean,
It's,
what the card is, though.
Right.
I mean,
I don't
I was
know.
trying to read the three together, so
Yeah,
moving
that's smarter.
forward. I mean, you
Yeah.
can move forward if you have money,
Yeah.
Right.
and
Yeah.
sometimes whatever you're transitioning into would take money.
To me, it's the beginning of an enterprise. Young man
Maybe.
with a little bit of money, moving forward. Intellectual is going the same direction, and I'm guessing this is going to be a helper, which would be a strong woman. And
What's on the
Well,
bottom
this is
part?
sort of like
What's
the
bottom
story of
the
our
deck?
business.
what these
The way
two,
you just
these two
des-
right here. Yeah.
The way you just described the whole thing is like the
Oh.
story of our
Yeah,
business.
yeah.
Well, the
that's-
bottom
you
card-
you always try to make a story. You know?
I asked Yola what's the bottom card, and it says materialism.
Oh well, that's where we're going.
And there we go.
Well,
We're
that's
trying to
interesting because the way I see
materialize
that
this.
is like the money, like, everybody wants money, and we're studying, we're learning, learning how to do all this together.
Yeah.
I think
And-
the studying is
this-
much more dominant with us.
Well, we
than
have
the
a
money.
vision.
Right, and we have vision, and we're just learning constantly. Every day
Yeah.
we're
All
all
the
learning
time.
stuff.
From
And
each
then
other also.
transition, right, absolutely. And then it is transition into what this is going to be, because we are all transitioning
Well,
into
and it's
what
a
it
woman
is.
too, so
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
growth.
And then
pure and simple.
materialism. That was on the bottom of the deck.
Yeah.
So you know,
Material success.
yeah,
Right, material
yeah,
success.
I guess.
Well, I have one last question before we close out the podcast, which is if someone did want to go see an astrologer, a psychic, a tarot reader, whatever, during, like, if they're going through a hard time, they don't know what their purpose is, they don't know how to deal with, like, all the craziness of the outside world, what would you suggest? How do they how do they find what they want to know? How do they go about finding someone? Or, how can they get help from those type of people?
You have to be
Our type of
careful
people.
because you're playing with your heart. You're playing with your soul, your spirit. So you want to have a really good connection with whoever you go to.
Right.
For
So
a
find
reading.
someone you trust.
Right,
And if you-
energetically.
If you don't
Trust.
That you
feel
just have a
that,
good
big.
feeling
if
about.
you don't
Right.
have it, get the hell out.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't. Right.
And what should they ask? Like, would you say,
Well, I would just say, like, if you're looking for someone, I would say, ask a friend who knows of a good reader or a good tarot reader or, astrologer. So referral is really important.
well, can you guys tell me how, like, Yola, how would an astrology reading help someone who's going through a hard time?
It would help somebody.
Because explain, people might not know this, that you check their specific birth chart.
Yes.
That's based off the exact moment they're born. So it's very specific to them.
Yes,
That's called their natal chart.
that's correct.
So how would that help someone going through a hard time?
That would help somebody going through a hard time because I could see what they came here, like the lessons they came to learn, and if it's about certain, whether it's a love or whether it's about anything, could be anything, and I could see in their chart what type of maybe what career they would be good at.
Well, and also the lessons you're talking about.
The
so you
lessons,
can see
absolutely.
what lessons they want to learn.
So it gives them direction.
Yeah,
It gives
it's
them
like
a
direction,
map.
absolutely.
It's like a
I could see
roadmap
kind
for
of what
their
their
life.
purpose.
Yeah.
is.
And
what-
once you learn, I think you guys know this, once you learn your lesson, that the issue goes away.
Right.
Yes.
The issue's
Absolutely.
only there for you to learn your lesson.
That's
so
right.
if you can tell them what their lessons are,
Right.
that their problems should fall away around that
That's
issue.
right. And if they're struggling in different types of jobs or whatever, and it just never seems to work, maybe they're working a job that's not really meant for
Yeah.
them. A type of career.
Yeah.
Yeah, all
How
those kinds
would-
of things.
How would a psychic reading help
Well,
someone?
I just want to say something about what she does. Is that it's such an old school of divining that she's from. That to me, always best to start there.
Start with astrology.
Because you're going to get the whole background. You're going to get a lot of, and as I'm doing a reading, it's nice to have some of the prompts. Check out the grandmother, check out the blah blah
Right.
blah stuff like that. So to me, that's the value right there of specific information about their situation.
It's sort of a picture of who you are too.
Absolutely.
And I think what it does is give you validation because it tells you nothing's wrong with me. This
Right,
is
that's
just
right.
the way I
That's
was
right.
born.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
is the
it's
way
not
I'm
a
It gives you
bad thing.
empathy.
You're not
You
looking for
become
fault,
empathetic
yeah.
towards yourself and towards other people if you know their information.
Because you realize they are just
Right.
the way they
They're
can,
just
the
the
only
way
way
that-
they can be.
That's the only way they can be, and so you kind of calm down about
Right,
that.
right. It's
But,
also
yeah, it's a
for your-
roadmap, like
for
you're
your,
saying.
It's a roadmap, but for your personal self, it's about the timing.
Right.
So,
Timing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
when is it time to move? When is it time to change
Right.
jobs? So
Like maybe
That's right.
something's not working out because it's just not time yet.
Yeah,
Right,
and
and
you
That's
can get a sense
absolutely
of
like
that from
people
her reading.
Exactly.
that are all in the wrong relationships.
You
Well,
got it.
it's going to keep happening until you learn this lesson, or like until and you've got this much time because those markers are not really in your chart for another year or 2 years or whatever it is. So this time in your life is about learning that and getting over whatever it is. You can still have fun, but if you're looking for something more permanent, then that's
aren't
you
there
know.
times, I know you've talked about this before, Yola, but there are times in your life, like when you're 10, when you're 25, when you're 63, whatever, those
Right.
markers in your life where generally everybody of that age is kind of going through
right.
the
Exactly.
same thing. What
Those
is
are
that?
called like planet returns, right?
Yeah,
Or-
that what that
returns or
is? Oh.
squares or oppositions.
Okay.
They're just
That's good
astrological
information
terms.
to have.
Right, it is. Like when you're 21, 21's a big time, but Saturn, the planet Saturn has cycles, so like it's like 7-year cycles. So, 7, 14, 21, 28, on and on. Like at 21, there's something going on there, and depending on your personal natal chart, it could tell you the area of your life that you're going to have this lesson in, that you want to work on this. And all the planets have that.
So doing the natal chart really tunes it in. It's like tuning in that radio station, kind of getting
Well,
the frequency
Yeah,
more
I'd like to
absolutely.
in tune to that
Yes,
personal.
exactly. Like when
reading.
you're 42, and when you're 48, and when you're young.
42.
But like what happened when you were 14 might repeat itself when you're like when you're
It's
28. You're
fascinating to me.
right.
Well, I think it's nice too because it helps you proactively work
Yes,
on your lessons
absolutely.
instead of
You
just
might throw out
waiting.
that this is the oldest thing in the
Yeah.
world.
You
too.
know,
and
for
if
thousands of
if
years,
you
yeah.
know the rules, you can play the game of life.
Right,
Basically,
exactly.
Yeah,
is
it's like
what
a
it is.
rule book for
Yeah.
your
Exactly.
personal rule
Yeah.
book.
If
Right.
you've got a good reader.
Yeah.
Right,
Which
because you can
Yola
talk to
is.
someone that I remember recently as a group we read somebody and he was struggling with an ending of a relationship, and I just started asking him questions, and I was like, well, how old are you? And he told me how old he was, and then I was like, when did that relationship, not the one you just left, but the one before, when did that one leave? And it was at a certain age, I believe it was 48-ish. I was like, oh, you know what? That was supposed to happen. That really was supposed to happen. You were not supposed to be with her.
Based on
and
what?
Based on and it's an astrological thing. It was a North Node, the North Node return.
Okay.
So, yeah, that was supposed
Amazing.
to,
Yeah.
that was supposed to happen. You're not supposed to be with her maybe before you were for that part of your life, but that was going to end. And, so I'm glad you got over that.
It probably helps people forgive themselves. 'Cause
It
they don't
does,
feel like they
because they
blame
don't understand,
themselves
like,
for-
and especially people like, oh my gosh, I'm a failure because that job didn't work.
That's a
or
good point, 'cause
whatever,
it
or I got a
releases you.
divorce, or whatever, people that went bankrupt, or whatever trauma they're going through. It's like, yeah, give yourself a break. It's like, give yourself a break.
Well,
Because-
how can
yeah.
people going to? Because I know most of the people that psychics get usually are people kind of in crisis or who need
Yes.
help.
Most of the time.
If they come to a reader, they're asking for help. So,
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So, what can people gain from going to a psychic if they're having a hard time or they need answers?
Well, I think they can gain insight, and we're not, we're human, and so I can see the energy around people. So I might see a tendency towards, them putting up their own blockage, their own roadblocks and stuff like that. So I will note that. I'll tell them I see that, or whatever part of their aura it's in, I'll let them know. And so I try to open doors for people. I'm not magic. I'm not changing that for them. I'm just making them aware of what I see, and sometimes just by them acknowledging that, oh, wow, I didn't even know that was there, or I didn't realize that I was doing that.
You're more magic than you know.
Right, and it's kind of relief probably for
It's
them.
a relief
Oh.
for them, and but also people ask for help, but sometimes they want you to fix them, and that's not what the readings are about.
That costs a lot more.
Anyway, I try to do it with heart, heart to heart, and just give them the best reading that I can. With, it's like love. It's like exchanging a
An exchange of
loving,
energy.
spirit to spirit, soul to soul interaction, and it helps people realize that they're allowed to ask for help. And when they do ask for help, they have to accept. Part of them has to accept what's there, what's given. They
they're
might
hearing.
they might not do it right away. They might wait later, and it's not written in stone because things change. I mean,
Right.
energy changes, and but I like being able to open a door for people. Like, look in here. Look,
Yeah.
you didn't know that was there, did you? You didn't
Right.
know that was available to you. So you're helping them open doors for themselves.
My
Yeah.
boyfriend Logan got a reading from all of you, and that's exactly what he said. He said, first of all, he knew like the general area of the question he wanted to ask, but he couldn't articulate it perfectly. But you answered the question anyways because you're psychic, so you knew what was in his heart and what he was actually trying to ask you. You gave him practical advice and practical of like, this is what's coming up in the future. Prepare yourself for this. You'll have an opportunity around this time. So he knew, oh, okay, so I'm working on my business now. I'm not getting opportunity, but it's going to open up for me like in November. But you also gave him like daily tips, sort of things he can work on his own, like do this with your energy, do this with your meditation. I think you told him to do a specific type of grounding actually. And what he also got from it was he had all these problems that in his mind were not related. And you were able to let him see that that's all the same problem. It's a holistic approach to the problems of
Yeah.
your life. And if you fix this one thing, it's all going to click into place.
Mm-hmm.
And that was incredibly helpful.
That's great. Good to know.
I got one thing that scares me though. Sometimes when I'm working with someone like Logan, I go for something that makes me happy instead of him. Oh, I solved that, and
that's ego.
Tell
So we
me.
have to let go of ego.
and it's also not accurate. That's the problem.
That's why
if
it's
I was
ego.
right on, hey, I'm right on. But it clouds my vision a
Yeah,
lot.
we have to watch that ego thing
Yeah,
and wanting to be
I
validated.
don't know why you say that.
So Ken, the question Katie was asked, we kind of answered it, but when when people go to a psychic, what do you
Like, how do you think it helps them?
right? How do you think it helps them?
If they're
The unknown, because as soon as you open the door that good things are possible, or I don't understand everything, so anything is possible. That's what I look for. As soon as they get that thing, then I'm happy
Yeah.
and I'm done. And if I don't get that, then I'm frustrated, and I actually will push for that, because they need to know that there's something else going on in this world than their problems, and that other stuff going on can solve their problems. They just need to open their eyes.
there's a way out. There's a
Yeah.
way through.
Yeah,
There's a way.
exactly. Yeah.
There's hope.
And by the way,
There's
it's
hope.
not as bad as you think it is. You
Right.
know, that's
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. So.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
We
Well,
get-
this was. Oh, go on.
Well, I was just going to say, we get, I know a lot of people that have come to me are it's almost like you're knotted up in your distress or whatever's going on. And, if you can just give them a little bit of light, it is like the light
Right.
at the end of the tunnel. Hey,
Right.
look over here, because
Yeah.
if you took this path, or look at it this way.
And their
Yeah.
breathing
Right.
changes.
Yeah,
They
breathe- yeah.
change
Right, they
right
calm
in
down,
front
you
of
can see 'em calm down.
Yes.
I mean, in your
yes,
readings,
yes.
I don't sit in on them, but I talk to them in the very beginning, and then I talk to them in the very end to hang up. And the energy shift is crazy because people going in are just like so scared, so tense because of where they are in their life, and probably because what they're afraid to hear, But then you guys always. I mean, the message almost for everyone is like it's going to be okay in some way because that's what everyone needs to hear.
Yeah.
But you get it specifically for them, and the energy afterwards is like this knowing of like I can keep going, and it causes transformation in people's lives. I mean, several people you've
does.
read, their
Right.
whole lives are transforming
Yeah.
just because they heard, yeah, that's going to work for you.
Right.
You keep pursuing that. And it
Well,
really
to be the one
makes a
saying
difference.
that makes us higher than crazy.
Right.
I mean, when you can say it's going to be okay to someone, your hair stands up. I mean, it's magic time. Just being the conduit for that, saying to them, it's going to be okay. And,
Yeah.
And that's when you talk about how you get energy back by
Oh,
being
yeah,
able
you
to
get
give
a
this
big
energy.
hit back from that.
You get
Yeah,
energy
we
back.
also
Right.
heal,
Exactly. And that's when you know
energetically.
you did
Right.
it right. You go, oh, I guess I did that right.
Right. Right.
We're always surprised, but why?
And one last thing I wanted to say about all the craziness going on in the world right now is I'm going to plug one of my favorite people, Greg Braden. I've talked about him before. He's one of the greatest people alive, but he studies all this.
He's a teacher, right?
He's a teacher. He's
And
an
he's an
author, he's
author,
a teacher, speaker.
He's
he does
quantum
some,
healing.
Yeah.
yes,
Greg
he's
Braden.
Greg Braden.
Got all his books.
Yes, he's great, but it's cyclical. All this is cyclical, and he studies ancient civilizations, and he goes to these places and talks to the elders that are there
Wow.
now, and they talk about, I learned this from my grandfather who learned
Yeah.
it from, all this time, but this and all over the world, the Mayans will be saying the same things that people in
Yeah.
Egypt are saying, but this is all cyclical, and this chaos that's happening right now with financial,
Political.
financial, kind of political, more like angst, like maybe
The
not
feelings inside
warlike,
of you.
like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
war.
Oh, like the conflict between
the
everyone.
conflict,
The environment.
right? So what I said, I
The
find that,
division, yeah.
and what's the third one? Weather.
Oh, the weather.
Weather.
Yeah, the weather's huge.
This
Wow, the weather
is
has been
by
driving me
all
nuts.
these three things. They just happen to come together, like in the cycles, or all in different
like-
like
Yeah,
cycles
But
up and
at
down.
this time,
they
they're all at the
just all
same time?
happen, and all those ancients knew that.
That's
Yeah.
what
So-
the end
so
of the
this
Mayan
is-
calendar was about,
Right,
right?
and that's what all this is about. So
Yeah.
if anybody wants to learn more, Greg Braden, he's your man.
Okay.
He is. I've learned so much.
I might have
I've
some
read
of
his books. I've
I'm not
listened
sure.
to
I've got 'em all,
lots
if
of
you want
stuff
to
that
see.
he
Yeah, I'm
does.
gonna
I've
pay
taken
more
his,
attention then.
seen things on Gaia. I've seen him speak. I've gone to his seminars,
Wow.
like I don't know, 3 or 4
Yeah.
of his
And it also
seminars.
He's kind of a
tells
cute
you-
little guy.
This is going to be relieved. So this is just a cycle.
Right, this
We're
is
coming out
just
of
a
it,
cycle.
Just
It's
blast it
just a
out.
cycle.
It's
So
going to get better.
it is going to get better, and and he's your man to tell you this. So if anybody, hey Greg,
We're gonna
No,
check him out.
He's pioneered some really good healing techniques.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm really into.
Right.
He's really heart. He's all about
very
the heart.
heart-centered.
Yeah, it's
Very.
all heart,
He's
all heart.
really.
In fact,
he's
you
amazing.
get through his 4th or 5th book, and he goes, "Forget all those other books. This is the book that does it."
Right.
And he says, "It's all heart. Forget all that
It really
running
is all
energy
heart,
and,
right.
and moving energy around and the breathings. Yeah, it's all your heart.
It is your heart.
and intention.
It is your heart.
You know.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Heart and intention.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you just spent $100 buying his other books.
That's
and
okay
say, "It's not
because
the
you
heart."
get some
Yeah.
stuff.
It's worth it.
It's okay.
You know what?
win
I
some
like him
of
so much that I support him. I buy his books. I buy all of them. And then I got to a phase where I was listening. I was listening on.
Yeah, he's on YouTube all
So
the time.
I listen on Audible as well.
Yeah.
So then I buy him again,
Yeah.
and I listen all over. So Greg, I'm supporting you twice.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
So, do you
No.
guys want to finish this off with like a blessing?
Yes.
Grounding for everybody?
Yeah. I think
Yes.
we
For
should
the
do that.
audience?
Like a universal grounding,
Yes.
and peace and love, the hippie stuff.
What do you want the audience to do? Close their eyes and sort of calm the mind.
Calm the mind and think of your third eye right here in the middle of your.
Yeah. Go to center of
right.
head, get grounded.
I think we should do Katie.
Well, this is for everybody listening and watching. I
Oh,
want
okay.
to send them a blessing.
I'll accept part of it.
Yeah, of course, you're here. You're going to get it anyway.
We're gonna get it too.
Yeah, we all get it.
I picture the bottom of I'm sitting cross-legged, so the whole bottom of my butt and my legs like sort of rooting into the ground.
Yes, that's the way to do it.
That's a good way
Imagine
to
your
do it.
toes in the dirt.
Exactly. Then you could bring up some earth energy through the foot chakras.
Yep.
It's sort of an exchange of energy, right? Like you give energy and you get energy back.
Yes, exactly. That's what we do.
And then bring in some cosmic energy, cosmic
Yep.
light down through the top of your head and run it, up and down through your body and release and let go and breathe.
So we're getting a master class from you, aren't we?
Oh, no. I don't know about that, but
I can feel this energy just expanding, 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 and expanding, which
going
is
out.
really beautiful.
Yeah, going
just
out
bigger,
into everybody.
bigger, all the way around.
It's like I'm seeing like this spinning vortex of energy in the center.
Yeah.
What color you got?
I got kind of a goldy pink. Kind of a golden pink.
Nice.
Yeah.
Kind of shimmery.
It's like my favorite color. Like a tequila sunrise, kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And just release it out into the world. And
So on the count of 3, I want everybody to just focus on that third eye, and we're just going to blast all the energy we're feeling, and you're going to feel it. So 1, 2, 3. All right. Your day's going to be better,
yeah, exactly.
so have a
A
good
little
one.
foggier.
Yeah, I'm
And-
dizzy.
right. So we'll see you next time.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks.
you.
We'll see you next
Thanks for
time.
listening.
Okay. And now we have to think about lunch.
Yeah, take
Did you hear
advice
my
from
stomach
voicemail.
growling?
No.
I kept going like this. My stomach was going.
It's a psychic reading.
We'll have to find it on the. We'll hear it come up when we're listening to it back.
Right.
Does it pick up stuff like that?